Okay, here we are with the initial setup for the second Crusade, and I'm going to go through it a little bit, but a couple of things. One, this camera is beginning to act up. It's basically a brand new camera. I remember, I think it's the model itself. The other one I have that's exactly the same as this had problems early on as well. And it didn't last very long. You know, the one I had, at least a couple of the ones I had before, but the one I had immediately preceding that I was using on whatever I played last, I don't remember what it was. Probably the stupid World War I game I played. Empires and Alliances was the last thing I did. I think. I don't know. That one and everything else since like this year at least. Well, okay, most of last year. That one had a much greater lifespan than this. The connection to the screen on the one of this model was problematic, and this is showing signs of something similar to that, where it gets confused when the screen's open, when it's closed. Okay, what was I going to say? Somebody, another, before I get started on the scenario stuff, another point is somebody thought I sounded like I was really enjoying that first Crusade thing. I mean, I was able to come up and play it, but basically what allowed me to have that kind of energy that sounds like enjoyment is flipping cards and doing stuff quickly, I think. You'll see it when I'm playing Euros and stuff too. It's not necessarily real enjoyment. It's just, it provides, I don't have to think in any way. And also, the other thing that made it palatable was ignoring rules, sometimes at the cost of getting them absolutely wrong for the entire game. You know, so there you have it. But the rulebook was so bad and required enough lookups to play it all reasonably, that because it just won't stick, because it's not well formed, it's not well designed in a lot of ways, and it's got a lot of finicky little crap that's not the same. Okay. So this one, essentially Edessa falls to Zengi, who is not in this game, of the Mosul Turks, and then a crusade is called, including Louis VII, Conrad. You have Eleanor here. She's not in the board, you know, she's not covered. The actual counters that are used to mark control and whatnot, there aren't enough in any single faction to actually handle this all. So what you've got largely is anything with a cross as the Frankish player, and I try to assign them to the, you know, I tried to assign them to the correct factions. I decided to use Germans for the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but I certainly didn't have enough of these, the Latin counters, and I didn't have enough Germans to cover the whole Kingdom of Jerusalem, so I put a couple of the Latins in there, whatever. Okay. Got a couple of things here. It's only a couple of turns, like 3 turns, 4 turns. You're using holding boxes that don't have the names. I went over this in the intro stuff, but that's going to be a little problematic, but the game doesn't work right without the holding boxes. Like, mechanically it doesn't work right, in the sense that, like, you have too many stacks and stuff like that. Various castles are on the board to begin with. There's 6 different factions for the Franks. The French, the Germans, Jerusalem, Edessa, Antioch, and Tripoli. All factions are controlled by the French player and may operate together in any manner within the restrictions of the Frankish command rules, which are basically the same as the First Crusade. So, you know. The Saracens have two factions, the Mosul Turks and South Syrians. They operate completely separately, cannot stack together, activate together, or even defend together, nor may they attack each other. Neither faction can withdraw or retreat into a space occupying the other. Really could have been like a 3-player game because of this, but there's something tricky about, like, you know, breaking two factions into each other, into different groups. And also the southern Syrians are pretty small. We've got the locations of the setup of the troops first before you get control of the areas, which is kind of annoying setup-wise. I did it this way, and I'm kind of glad I did because there's some holes in the setup rules. So the Fatimids start off with some strengths here, that some strength points there that can't move. Okay, great, whatever. They're not actually in the game in any sense, even as a neutral or anything. They're just, this space is well defended and absolutely valueless, so whatever. And then they define the areas of control. So Edessa, and they define it by specific locations. I think Edessa is, well, no, Edessa is actually spelled out as being neutral, even though it's included in the Kingdom of Edessa, but there's some reasons why the kingdom actually matters. Antioch, they spell these out. The Franks control Alexandretta, Sicilian, Latakia, Seon, and Jabala. Antioch isn't, Seon's fine. Antioch is not mentioned among those. There are troops in Antioch from the Kingdom of Antioch. I think it was just left out. More on that later. County of Tripoli, they just control Tortosa and Tripoli. Kingdom of Jerusalem. This one, okay, there's specified rules here that each of the powers gets 1 strength point on any town or village it controls in each space unless the space is already occupied. The Kingdom of Jerusalem works slightly differently, as noted below, and we'll talk about that. Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Franks control all... I cheated. That's the Crusade Chevaliers? No. Okay. Fair enough, fair enough. Right then. Okay. The Franks control all ports south of Beirut, inclusive except Ascalon, which is controlled by the Egyptians. They give some definitions. They basically have 5 strength points to allocate among their forces. The Hospitallers control the Crusade Chevaliers. Now, they don't actually have a force pool of their own. I threw a Northern Frankish unit, because I'm not using them for anything else, in here as the extra troop, because they're included under this area power and control basic rule. I don't think it's going to make much difference, but basically nobody can pick that up. They don't talk about that specifically, but whatever. They got a design note about the Templars who aren't... Well, the Templars and the Hospitallers are basically considered part of the Kingdom of Jerusalem in terms of their troops. I guess, you know, like just abstracted away. The Moslems control every town and city not controlled by the Franks north of Homs inclusive. Okay. Well, Antioch is one of those. So too is Cyprus. I don't think Cyprus has a value in this game, but I'm just pointing that out, that like those aren't excluded. That might be okay, because I'm not absolutely certain the Armenians are completely driven out of this area, but whatever. And then the southern Syrians control all cities and towns controlled by the not controlled by the Franks south of Baalbek inclusive except for Ascalon. That turns out to be these two, and that's it. Could have just listed them, you know, used a lot of words to create a generic thing. It made sense with the muscles, doesn't make as much sense. Kind of feels like something was being done on the fly there, where it's like, oh yeah, let's just use that same thing so we don't have to actually look at the map and figure out what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, nice research, dudes. Okay, leader deaths and replacements. This is interesting. Most of the leaders have no replacements. If they die, they're gone. Make do with what remains. Well, this is interesting. Every single leader counter has a named leader, at least as far as I could tell, has a named leader underneath them who's presumably their replacement. I don't know that it makes much difference either way. They're not listed here. The implication is that they don't actually... Okay, this one doesn't. So maybe there's a fair number who don't. But I'm assuming the guys on the back are the replacements. Whatever's might become kind of a problem because of the boxes. They're already one step behind where you have to flip to figure out who's where. But then, you know, in addition, who's where doesn't actually align to what's said on the boxes. Then they have some specifics. Why is that? Well, here's why. I don't know. It doesn't seem to. It's a very Berg statement. If Nur dies, his older son Said becomes overall commander. If both are gone, Nazar, that's fine. If Jocelyn is killed, there is no more county of Edessa. Okay, let's hope Jocelyn does not have a replacement. Good, because if he did, that would really throw me into a tizzy. When he was killed in battle, his wife moved his family to the protection of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, which assumed control of the county more or less. Okay, what does that even mean? Not clear to me. Like, does control switch? I don't know. What I think just happens is there's no leader and the troops are leaderless and thus can't move anywhere. But do the troops that were with him go somewhere? Again, I just don't fucking know. And meanwhile, oh yeah, Kingdom of Jerusalem, we used this green for Edessa. So I used a green counters for Edessian units that had to be played. Some of the countries just don't have enough counters, and I haven't put counters down for these. This is because I wanted to highlight something about that. But the Kingdom of Antioch actually doesn't have a counter mix itself either. So I don't know. I guess I'll use more of these reds. The problem is, or the County of Antioch. The problem is that I'm using that for that. Since there are no Armenians in this, I'm going to use an Armenian for that instead. Not really thrilled about it because the Armenians look, you know, do I have another faction I could use? I really don't. Wait, am I using Norman troops anywhere? Let's use a Norman, a Northern Frank. Fuck. I couldn't keep my counters stacked separately. Let's use Northern Frank for this. But those are the Hospitallers and God knows at Crack Day Shovelers. Okay. When Raymond of Antioch died, his son was too young. The king of Jerusalem became his regent. Again, so what? By implication, I feel like you should be able to pick things up. When Raymond of Tripoli died, again, suzerainty was taken by Jerusalem. Again, what does that all mean? It's not spelled out here. Here it talks there's no more county of Edessa. The others are something different. Hold on for a moment. So we've got slightly different rules. Now, first of all, Franks in the Third Crusade have their own little rule here. Franks in the Second Crusade, there's 6 different army factions. French, Germans, Jerusalem, Edessa, Antioch, and Tripoli. All factions are controlled by the Frankish player and may operate together in any manner. See restrictions within Frank command. Frankish command. Any Frankish leader with rank 2 or 3 stars can command any units within the rank restrictions, which is you got to have larger forces with higher stars. I feel like that's going to get really confusing if they're all integrated, because I don't know, like Raymond here only has 1 star, but he has a bunch of troops. Who is this? This is, I think, Jocelyn. He's only being given 1 star, so it's okay. He doesn't have a shit ton of troops with him. The 2 kings are going to have, actually the 3 kings are going to have some kind of higher ranking, but here's what's fucked up. Baldwin here is actually higher ranked than Godfrey or Robert, which kind of makes sense. He's also a better leader than Louis, or yeah, I say Godfrey and Robert, Conrad or Louis. So he's going to actually have to take the majority of the German and the French troops, which is not how they're assigned setup-wise, but, you know, they're just all in Acre gathered together. A 1-star commander can only command from his own faction. So I think that all kind of works okay. And again, control is really all, you're just one player essentially as the Franks. Again, I'm going to try to keep control markers by faction to some extent, but don't really care, especially once you have deaths and things devolve upon the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And I'm just guessing that Edessa, I don't know what it means that it stops going, because we're going to see it affects the victory conditions. Now we go back here, and not here. The hell? Put it in the wrong page. Like it was just there. All right. Activations, everybody's going to have 4 AMs without fleet or reinforcement AM. Now, I've already taken the reinforcement and the neutrals out. Now, finally, I'm being told take the fleets out too. I don't know where the reinforcement is. I guess I'll find it some other time. It's got to be in something in the Muslim stuff. These all say roll for event. Okay. The Franks have the initiative for the first game turn. The Frank player chooses one of his own AMs for the first activation of that turn. This was something weird in the original, is that booklet and maybe part of this one seems to indicate that they do that with the cards, but somewhere else it seems to indicate that they don't. It's not in the setup. If it had been in the setup, I'd be like, okay, that overrides. Okay. Naval rules are not used. There's no fleets. Attacks against towns. The towns give a stronger defense. In both this and the Third Crusade, it's not really a change for the scenario, but it's okay. The wealth rules are not used. There's no payments of resources of any kind for any reason. Wow, well, that, you know, changes everything, kind of. But, okay. Oh, yeah. So this location was still under question. The Castle Marque. I have no assignment for it. Therefore, it actually appears to go to the Saracens, and in particular the Mosul Turks by where it is. I don't think that's true. Again, I failed to look at the addenda or errata or whatever. We'll look before I start. The neutrals AM is not used. There's no neutrals in the scenario that may be activated. The assassins are in Masyaf Castle, but there's no assassin events. Neither player may try to take Masyaf, but their armies can pass through that space. If I can't move through it, I don't know where it is anymore. Is it this one? No, I can barely read. Oh, the text is so tiny in my poor little eyes. Where is Masyaf? Fuck. I thought I put something based on it. Okay. It's in the Assassin's rules. This is going to take as long as the fucking initial, like the skim through of the rules, because there was basically nothing there. Mountain road from Hama to the coast. Oh, this is it. I don't know. Let me put a bug there. The bugs aren't supposed to be them. And they don't need troops because they can't be attacked. But again, there's this castle here that I don't know who it's supposed to be. Maybe it's Mosul. Okay. What I really wanted to get to was not the events table. We talked about that briefly already. It has very few events for this one. But the towns that are of importance. So Aleppo itself is worth 10 points. Aleppo over there. To the Crusaders, and nothing for the Saracens to hold. Now, this is a two-player game, so it's a zero-sum game. So it's kind of like you could give it any point value adding up to 10. It's goofy how it's arranged. Each town or city in Edessa is worth 1 to the Crusaders, but 3 to the Mosuls. They really want to retake that territory, and I assume that it includes Edessa. So these little red points, they're not important in this. They were listed somewhere as, oh no, they're listed as 3rd Crusade victory points there. I think in the rule book, it said they're for the 2nd and 3rd Crusade, but maybe I'm just misconsidering it. So we've got victory points that are not on the map, and there's no way to, cope with them that way. Antioch is worth 5 for the Saracens. Shaizar, which I have no idea where it is, it's not a city, it's down here, it's a little town, is worth 2 to the Crusaders. Hama is worth 2 to the Crusaders. Homs is worth 3. Damascus is worth 10 to the Crusaders, but nothing to the Saracens. Again, it's sort of this, hey, you're taking things from the enemy, so it's worth more to you. But it really doesn't make a difference. Tiberias is worth 2 to the Saracens. Jerusalem's worth 5, not an auto victory to the Saracens. And Carrick Castle. I don't remember. Is that this one? Yeah, I think that's this one. As opposed to the Crac des Chevaliers, is worth 5 to the Muslims. So, I mean, I don't have any visual way to look at this and try to figure it out and what's actually worthwhile. It's going to be really, really painful to cope with. Now I'm beginning to think I'm glad I didn't play the 2nd Crusade first, because, damn it, it appears the most problematic. Well, it appears to have more problematic setup issues than the 1st Crusade did. I guess. I don't know. It's just, damn. This game did not receive the development effort that it required. Do I blame Berg for it? He's probably largely to blame. But anybody who doesn't, stand up, put their foot down, is to blame too. If you're the developer of the game and the game's not working, you've got to be able to recognize that and bring it forward. And if he doesn't listen to you, bring it forward to the company itself, because the company, you are the representative of the company and the players who eventually, you know, the eventual consumers. You're not there just to polish the designer's knob. The errata, which is unfortunately relatively sparse given the number of rule books and the number of errors that are present in it. That didn't contain anything about this that I could see, the setup issues. What it did contain was a partial retraction of the resources don't matter. Resources in this one are allowed to ameliorate siege attrition only, and they're never recovered. I mean, was that really necessary to put in? First of all, siege attrition is probably not what you're going to use, although with all these garrisons, maybe. Why did I forget someone at Sida? Oh, I know, because I only had 5 strength points to spread around the entirety of Jerusalem. Okay. Showing their lack of manpower, etc., especially, you know, because they were a relatively large area and didn't have that many troops, to be honest. The questions that I had aren't being answered there. I looked in the living rules. I think the living rules may incorporate the errata, although honestly, I thought I looked something up that was in the errata and it wasn't in the living rules. So maybe they don't. They're pretty fucking useless, and I'm not going to dig too hard to look. Anyway, I'm grumpy for various physical reasons right now, and don't feel like starting quite yet. But I do have to remember the Crusaders get to pick a piece first, but they also have to redistribute their army, which is not distributed properly to begin with. And kind of at that point, I make my chit decisions as well. So some of the French and Germans are going to have to get absorbed into the Kingdom of Jerusalem's army. And the victory condition list, I'm going to have to just like somehow have in my head. Fucking annoying. From what I can tell of the history, Markab actually should be Muslim. And since that's what the rules support, screw it. It was fortified by the Muslims in 1062, which would put it in existence in the First Crusade, right? You know, where it wasn't. And was held out of kind of the territory controlled by Antioch. It would be a pain in the ass in terms of its location, but screw it, we'll do it the way it is. Whatever's, you know. Okay. So, what the hell do we do? I don't remember any kind of special first turn rules other than picking a chit for the Crusaders. There are no reinforcements. We do have to set up the army assignment, and then when we do the activation pool, we have to hold out 1 Crusader chit. And this is where, you know, it's a pain in the ass, and with the cards, just shuffling them was relatively easy, but is enough of a pain that, like, well, I say it's relatively easy. It's not as easy as a chit pull cup in terms of just shaking things up. And so once they were shuffled, I'm like, yeah, unless I can find absolute support for this rule, I'm not in favor of it at all. I think the only fuck up we have in terms of the setup that's, you know, designated by the rules is that we have to get more troops under Baldwin's command than anyone else's. Now, let me see if victory points. Okay, victory point locations are on the card here. I was going to say, otherwise I'm going to be stuck on this page for most of the game that I'm playing, trying to assess where I can get points. Unfortunately, by splitting into different controls, it makes it more difficult to figure out how much something is worth, right? A quick column could tell me just, you know, say this is worth 5. Whoever has it gets 5. This would be worth 2. This would be worth, say, I don't know, 2 or 3 or whatever. But the point is, then I could just look through and see who gets the points, you know, which things are most valuable. But as it is, I have to scan across. So like 10 looks like it's the most valuable, which is Damascus and Aleppo. Antioch's a 5. Everything in Edessa is worth 4 each, though, so that's where the majority of the points are. These other things aren't worth a lot. Jerusalem and Kerak are each worth 5. That's a fair, you know, that's a pretty hefty amount if I can get those. What does all that mean? I don't know, because, you know, it's really hard to keep a picture in your mind of where the points are when it's some scattered listing like that. But I'm allowed 4 commanders here, and I look through my commanders, I look through their forces, and I say, okay, you know what? I can combine Baldwin and put 2 of his chits in. Let's put 1 Godfrey in, or Conrad. Let's put 2 Conrads in. The Northern Franks, I can take them with my Germans. Yeah, I'm going to suffer movement and all that kind of problem, but I think that's probably for the best. So I will align... Oh, wait, what do we got here? Who the fuck is Baldwin is my guy, yeah. All right. So I'll give him Louis under his command. Now, I got to look at the leaders, too, okay, for their combat capability. That gives me 1 more chit to play around with. I've got Baldwin II in Tripoli, who is Ademar, I guess. Oh, Raymond II, sorry. I've got Raymond in Antioch, who has a pretty decent pile. But I don't really want to lose Antioch. Do I care about Tripoli? I don't give a shit about Tripoli. So I'm going to take Raymond II, and he's going to take the troop in Tripoli, because Tripoli is actually worthless, except as a victory point city. And he'll take his 6 strength points, and I'm going to mobilize him. Now he's over here, I think in this color. I'm going to mobilize him into play. And then what do I want as my first pick? Not necessarily my most hefty force. I don't necessarily want to go first anyway, is the problem. Where are my points? Damascus, which I kind of want to fight for, but I've got to get forces up to Edessa, because that's where the heart of the points are, is up there, I guess. That doesn't feel historical at all, but I think I'm going to be splitting my forces so that Baldwin and Louis head for Damascus, and Conrad maybe heads up to Edessa. I think this is what I'm going to take the Tripoli forces as my initial pick. Now, while I'm doing that, and without knowledge of that, there are 4 picks for the Saracens. Now, they have to think as well. Clearly, to me, the big force here, which says it's under Ridwan, but it is actually under Nur al-Din, but not Nerad al-Eddin or Sud ed-Din, That draws me 3 chits. Where do the other din-dins come from? Well, that's an interesting question. They're both with the Northern Syrians. I don't particularly want to reduce attrition by using them there. Hama is worth a couple of points. I don't really want to leave Damascus. I'm overpowered by the Frankish forces, so I don't really have a lot of different choices. That's these two. So maybe I will assign some forces to one of these guys. They're equivalent in all ways. I don't know who's better, who's more... we got to look at the order. So who's the second? Said becomes overall commander, and then Nazar. So Said would be the other one that I would put in. And I'm going to give him some troops then. We'll give him this. Do I want to split everything into 20s and give Nazar his own? Yeah, it helps if I want to... Well, I may want to drop off a smaller force. So I'm going to give Nazar a 10-point force, if I can find one. But take him along with me, so that I've got a 40 and a 20. And just put these 4 in the cup. And that means my first action is with Raymond of Tripoli. Now, what did I want to do with him? I don't care about Tripoli one bit. I do care about Antioch. I probably don't care about this thing, Markab. But it's not necessarily easy for me to get around it. It's a long way around. So Markab has an SDR of 5. That means I need 10 troops to siege it. But I can attrition it with less. But I think we only lose 1 due to ravage attrition. All right. So we're going to open up with this stupid shit that we have to play, and I'm going to put it here. It gives me the last played and all that, and I can shift it, whatever. He has a size of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 10. Oh, actually 6. Right. Let's spread these out. That way I can count. So he has 12. So he's at +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Am I allowed to pass through? Yeah, you see, this is the thing. I know in the rule for the assassins I'm allowed to pass through them, but am I allowed to pass through them here? Weren't there special rules for the assassins in this? Oh, fuck. I don't see them. There are no assassins. Neither player may move to take, but they can pass through. Okay. So what were we at? We were at 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess. What the hell is this? Why is this so easy? It didn't look like it was before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What am I facing there? I am facing somebody named Yagi Sigali. I think he's this. He probably doesn't want to intercept me. Although he could do harassment tactics against me. All right, we'll try. What was my number? I don't remember. I don't remember how much attrition I've built up. He fails. Okay, so we recount that. 1 for my size, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if I want to go there. Now, can I siege this? I do have enough strength points to siege it. I'm going to roll for a continuation, which I'm not going to get. But this is going to cause me some attrition. But anyway, continuation is a 1 or a 2. I don't get it, so I'm stuck there. And I didn't ravage because my goal isn't really to take it, but whatever's. I mean, it's a worthwhile place to take. Okay, so that was the first activation. Now we're in the chit pool, and I'll move it there. And I need a break after that. Having to figure out that first play of the game, and I think it's the only time I do that, put me in a painful position, right, in terms of the amount of assessment I had to do. Let's undo all of this. The reason is this should not be theirs. I don't know whose it should be. I said it was fortified in 1060, which is before the First Crusade. But in 1104, after the First Crusade, it was taken by the Byzantines. And I think held past this period. I just don't know. Let's just put a red one on here. And what, we're putting red troops for that? Because we're out of Antiochian troops. We're out of Antioch troops. So we got to find a red unit for there. And that means this whole rigmarole was unnecessary. So instead it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and into here. We've moved Raymond, so I have to put an independent leader or something on him. So I can't just pick him up with Raymond. What? Whoa, no, this is Raymond of Antioch. Who the fuck did I just move? I moved Raymond of Tripoli, who has less troops, into place. Where's Bohemond? Bohemond's way back here. Okay, I'm fine. That's actually Jocelyn. Okay, I'm fine. I didn't have to make a roll. I didn't make my continuation. I don't know if I care if I do. And I'm still done. And fuck it. This game is just ridiculous in so many ways. I mean, this is a Friday. It has been since I started this video. It's cold. It's supposed to get really cold tonight. Unfortunately, the DJ that I think of as my favorite is supposed to be there. I think I've missed her twice. Due to getting punched in another thing. But last week, it was so crowded. I think they were letting people in at reduced rates or something. And I'm just kind of like, that could be a good or a bad thing. It could mean that sometimes when it's really, really crowded, it means that it's not going to be crowded the next week. But sometimes, like the fact that it was an attempt to get more people, I don't know. It's just like, I'm mixed as to whether or not I want to go. Anyway, I draw this. It says Nur al-Din. That's my Muslim fella. And he has both of these with him. Now, I did not. Fuck. Wait, this is Nur ed-Din. I wish it had better information on it. Here, I've got Nur ed-Din. Okay. And here, I've got Nazar ed-Din and Said ad-Din. I put their chits in. I think I must have. I think that means I want these guys loose. So anyway, I've got only 30 strength points here, which, what do I want to do with them? Well, I think my primary thing is get rid of the forces that are up here. So we're at 3, 4, 5 to here, and we'll fight a battle against Jocelyn. And I probably should have put this unit in with Jocelyn. I think this is... No, that's not Jocelyn. The fuck are these? Southern Normans. Oh, I was out of his forces. Okay, so his countermix. Does he want to defend? He could stay outside and therefore withdraw back to Antab. I think I want to do that because I can't defend against the size of the force that I'm looking at. So I fall back to here, getting a demoralized marker. The fuck? What's going on here? I'm getting a demoralized marker on myself, and we take this and then get a continuation check. Remember, I think it's each town and city. Yeah, so these towns are really effective point-wise if I can hold them. Well, and he did not have an attrition check for that. We're going to move forward again, and he's going to withdraw again. And we'll take that other troop under us because we can't have an independent unit. We make another advance. Oh, well, we make another check for continuation. We get it. I own Aleppo already, so I don't have to check its value. I'm at 3. Go take this. I think I just want to push forward into here. And again, he's going to fall. Oh, he had to make a check on this one. It's not much of one. Okay. Again, I fall back. And again, he has to make a continuation. This is kind of risky because I could have ended up somewhere where I take attrition. Samosata is probably my best place to defend that's left, so we'll fall back again. Don't know what I'm going to do when I run out of Mosul counters. I guess I'll take them from back here where they're not worth anything. Another continuation. We get that. We're facing, I guess, these guys. I mean, I'd love to fight them, but I'm counting on other people to take the stuff in the back. So I think we march on Alexandretta, which actually isn't worth anything. So he's 3, 4, 5, 6 to here. This has to fight because he doesn't have a leader, so he can't withdraw. And I think we still use a battle formation table for this. We have no leader. That puts the Crusaders at a defend, but we have a 4. Second Crusade. Chart's a little different. We're less likely to flank and more likely to do a feigned relief. Okay, so we do a feign and encircle. That's an E versus a defend. We get +4. Size-wise, we're at 30 to 1. So we're at +34. Okay, so we're at the top of the chart and we do 70%. We wipe this thing out. We look for his home, which will be down there. We take another territory and we're out. Fuck. The northern Syrians aren't being used, so I'm gonna just put this here and gain this. We get another continuation check, and we fail at this point. Wow, that was a pretty intensive play there. And it actually doesn't matter. All that's in here are random events, so we don't have to worry about. I mean, it's just a two-player game, so we don't have to worry about who specifically went last. Well, I'm going to pause because the Karboga replacement. I don't know. He'd be better in that scenario. In this one, he only gets 3 chits, but 3 chits is a lot. Strangely, I didn't put one of them in. I put his 2 subordinates in, I guess. Anyway, after looking, that's what I decided to do. I push forward there. I've gotten 9 more victory points for me, but, you know, I mean, those are trivial to take because they're ungarrisoned and everything, and I don't think garrisoning them really helps. Like, even a small force can take the towns pretty freely. It's just a matter that the troops are spread out at the beginning of this crusade, is all that it's saying. Garrisoning cities does have some impact, but still feels risky to me in a lot of cases unless we're getting close to the end. Of course, this one's only a 4-turn scenario. It's already 5 and it's still light out. I mean, it's been a month, you know, since the darkest day, whatever. Anyway, I gotta make my decision quickly, but let's pick next shit, get a little bit more. This was the one I had fingered. They were probably about the same. That's a Conrad. Conrad doesn't have anything with him. What was I going to do with Conrad? It's easier for me, the bigger force, is easier able to handle Damascus and then split forces up to move them north. Since Antioch's under threat, I'm going to be sending Conrad up this way. Drop him into the city because the chance of getting a continuation isn't that great, and I don't get one, so hey, I did the right thing. I don't suffer some additional attrition. It slows my movement, but you know, that's just the nature of this game. And now we get another Nur ad-Din. Well, damn. How big an ask is Antioch? Point-wise, it's okay. Aleppo's more important. I'm not going to get there. Damascus is more important. I'm holding that. I think Aleppo is kind of the biggest thing I can take still. So let's settle in there. And we settle into a full siege there because there's no real threat near us. We get a roll an event. They're somewhere. Second Crusade event table. I guess it's not by nation. We get nothing. Another event. I mean, there's 4 of them in the cup. Nothing. You could tweak the odds. I don't know. I don't know how much it makes a difference. Now we get Baldwin of Jerusalem. He's my king. He looks Saracen to me because his color is closer to them, but whatever. He wants to go for Damascus. Again, it's going to be a slow march there. I think I did the wrong thing here. He should have been a 4. Let me see. I might have made it further. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He would have made it here, and as a king, he could take that extra strength point. I counted up. I realized I counted up the Baldwin forces, including Louis, and yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So now he's the next leader there. Hey, we might just make it through a turn. Remember, the game moves. This is what we found with the card deck, and there's even less leaders here. We're back on Conrad. Got to remember, he's only got a 4 penalty on him, not whatever this had, which was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Definitely slows you down to have a lot of troops if you don't want to suffer. Conrad's force is slowly growing as I push up to Jabala and becoming more and more multinational. Yeah, I don't know. National is kind of the wrong thing. Back to Jerusalem. Probably going to look to get to the Cractus Chevaliers, pick up those troops. Just, again, preventing... Oh, this might be worth something. Baalbek. Probably not. Not really. Probably not worth attacking. Baldwin took a strength point of losses. I'll take it off some Jerusalem troops. Why? I don't know. It doesn't really seem to make much difference. I mean, they're not all exactly the same because you can't create multinational forces without, what, a 2 or 3 leader, was it? Or is it just a 3 leader? I think it's a 2 or 3. Yeah, because Conrad's only a 2, yeah. And we're going to launch our full siege here. Now, we've got no way of paying that siege off that I know of. Or maybe we do, I don't know. Acre has an SDR 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we can actually pay it off out of here. But those points don't come back. So we only have as many resources as are on the board. On the other hand, Damascus has 5 as well. So they're going to suffer the same kind of fate. But we want to starve them out, I suppose. Rather, an assault, the recovery would be too easy. And we're back on the event table, wherever that is. Okay. Another event. Eventually something will happen, you know. I got 2 chits. I could see them before. It's another Nur ad-Din. Okay, what's up with him? He's got a siege going on. Ravaging is going to do some good. And by the way, I think I may have recovered. No, I don't think I did. I'm like, did I recover from ravaging during things? If we put a ravaged here, it doesn't do as much. And a ravager on Nur ad-Din. Why is Nur ad-Din in the northern Syrian box? Is he really supposed to be? I mean, I'm just like, yeah, use Ridwan, sure, whatever. Why? I don't know. It's just, it's bothering me. We'll do that. That ends his turn, though, and puts me on the last chit, which is Said ad-Din. Now, I'm really bothered. Oh, I did not. Okay, Nasser was supposed to be with me. But let's put Nasser with Said then. And have them together try to handle Samosata. They can also rebuild Edessa, which makes it worth 3 points. So that's kind of valuable. So we're at a 30. There's a -1, so it's a 2, 3, 4, 5. Siege attrition, worth doing. Even though there's a small force here, it's enough that the ravaging won't do it on its own. We'll go full siege. No, we go partial siege. They're not able to come out. Okay. And that ends us there. That's going to put us on the attrition phase. We do the siege attritions. If you haven't been watching the others, we can take a quick look at how that works, especially since I fucked it up in some of the others. Let's take a look at Said ad-Din. He has 30 strength points. That doesn't matter. He's sitting on a 1 space. That also doesn't matter. What does matter is that we roll 2 dice each. Here, none of the modifiers take effect. I get a 7 for the Muslims. They take 3 hits. I can cancel one of those hits out. This will never recover, but that means I take 2 hits off of his forces. I gotta figure that out. Let's put a 2 there just to remind me. Because normally I won't do this on camera. And we got a 6 here. That's 3 hits on him. He can cancel out one of those 3 by eating the 1 resource point there. But the other 2 go. So this is taken. And I take a 3rd point essentially. And we look, what were we using? I don't fucking know. We started using somebody else's markers. Up here, using those. Why don't we use, I don't know, Armenians. See, Armenians are closer in color, so they'll annoy me less. But there aren't that many of them. We'll put them upside down. We'll use Armenians back here. Where there are no points of any importance. I could stay out there or garrison it. It kind of doesn't matter. I think I only have 3 chits. Why don't I go in for flexibility? Because I'm going to want to hit things over there anyway. And that just gets me that. I've got to lose 3 strength points there. I don't know where I want to lose them from. Certainly 1 off here, maybe 2 off there. It makes sense. I realized I fucked up anyway. I forgot to roll for a continuation for him to drop into siege. I'm so used to not doing that because that's the mechanism that I learned to bypass having to do lots of roll lookups. That's the wrong thing. Which means I may not have taken anything and I get all my points back and end up having to lose just 1 of my dudes. So let's roll for that. If I get a 1 or a 2, I get to do things as I did them. I do not, so we have to reverse that whole situation. He's out here without a siege. I'll put this back here because it doesn't matter. What did we have there? We had an Edessan and a strength point there. And instead of losing 3 strength points, I only should have lost one. So we'll go back like this, I guess. I don't know. Let's go to 19 here and 10 in the smaller force. And it's just, you know, you're fiddling around with stuff and crowding the space up. But yeah, so I fucked up in terms of the siege. I was unable to get the siege. That means these resource points were not spent. But you can see how easy it would be to get it with a siege. A ravage, I wouldn't take any, I would cause one loss, and that's it to Samosata. And that's not enough to capture it. So if there's more than the intrinsic garrison that is being spent from troops, you got kind of a problem in this game. You can't take it as easily. Let's look at the other sieges. This one did actually occur as a siege. This one, shit, I don't remember. Let me roll, because I don't think I did roll for him. Yeah, he didn't get a siege either, so he's going to be suffering just normal attrition for no good reason. Baldwin here took point attrition. These guys, not Kerboga, whoever he is, Nur al-Din, took a significant, like a 4 hit. He paid one of them off out of Harank, and the rest he has to take. He can't split that up and take points from Aleppo or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use up all the resource points eventually. I feel like the rule that put them back, the errata that put them back into play, actually is really annoying, because it means that I have to keep track of all this resources when they're not performing the kind of functionality, what little it was outside of the attrition checks, that they did in the first Crusade. I think that's all I've got. Recovery, there isn't any in this. Ravages would recover, walls would recover, but everything is under siege or whatever that is damaged. So that is one of my 4 turns already done. And you can see this isn't going to be a very rich scenario in a lot of ways, just because of there's not a lot of time to do stuff. So we replace the chits where they came from. That's Nazar. This is Baldwin. He's over here. These are Nur ad-Din. There's another Baldwin. It looks like it's the same color. Now, Conrad can just like end up fucked, and he's the guy that I sent off on his own, which is kind of bad. On the other hand, maybe much worse, and I'm not really thinking about things carefully here, right? Where's the random events table? It's here. The Frankish contingent goes home. I think that means that Louis leaves, and he takes a significant amount of troops with him. But maybe it's something else. No, I'm confusing it with the Philip leaving in the Third Crusade. Yeah, I think just a random amount of Germans and French go home. We could look it up. Oh, it's either German or French, and it's, yeah, it's just a random number of troops from them, up to 6, and could take one of the knights home, which is a big deal. We recover. Oh, we do have a recovery. The Ravager marker goes away. That only lasts for the turn that it happens, and we are done. And we're just going to play this all on one video. It's a Saturday, daylight already. Went out last night. You know, it's becoming more and more common for me. Now that I've cut back a little bit on my drinking, maybe I'm dancing less. I don't know. certainly I get the ride home. That helps. Where I'm somehow available to game and up and about a little bit earlier. I mean, I got up around 1 or so, which is fine. All right, picking my chits. For the Crusaders, it's the double Baldwin, double Conrad. That's where all my troops are, so that's what's going in there. I'm not allowed any interesting... I'm confused. I feel like there was an interesting option. It's not the reinforcements, but I can't quite remember what the chit pick option is. And again, you know, there's so many different rules in here. So I don't think there's anything special on this one. The reinforcement, players can put fleets in. This is Third Crusade stuff. Yeah, okay. I got to think a little bit more, though, on the Saracens, because their choices aren't as obvious. Hard is this Nur ad-Din and Nurse el-Din, or Ed-Din, or whatever. They're just so fucking close. It's very difficult for me to tell a difference between the two. I had chosen to apparently put Nars el-Din or whatever under Said. So that's a possible 4. The question is, what about out here? I don't think I can really do anything about Damascus. Let's look at our victory points again. Damascus is a big swing if that falls. But what happens if I come out to face Baldwin's force? And this is with, I don't know who. Because I can't read, because it's not the same. This is Onward. He's got a couple of chits there. He doesn't have a huge force. But I don't know how I'm going to save him. And Damascus is incredibly important in this. But so is Aleppo. Yeah. See, I've got a siege underway here with Nur ad-Din. What's Said up to? Said's up to that. Yeah, I think I have to go with these same 4 in there, and just, you know, hope that maybe I can survive at Damascus. I don't see that as being likely, though. Opened up with Baldwin setting up his full siege, and then an event that didn't happen, and then a Nur ad-Din here. I think it's time to start assaulting. He's got 27. This is no longer... Oh, shit. I gotta look to see if I have to rearrange troops. I'm sorry. I'm a little... You know, even just being away, you know, not coming up every time that I'm awake a few times, you know. The several hours of being away from this has kind of discombobulated me. Let me see how my forces are here, because I'm guessing the 2 Raymonds. Is this Raymond? I don't know. I don't know who this is. Okay, so so in order to figure out who we are, we gotta look in the scenario thing, because again, the little boxes aren't gonna tell me. What would have been really useful, and this is something other GMT games have done, but I don't think they've done it, like, it's very, very common recently to create little placards, cardstock things that would be the holding boxes. And so you could have, for each of the scenarios, a set of these that's proper instead of printing it on the map. This is an early game. It's like, I mean, it's not super early in GMT's era, but it's 2005 or so. And they hadn't gotten so, you know, I don't know, they've gotten more expensive along with it, but they've also gotten heavier and heavier into more quality components. Although quality control, like this game has its problems, right? There was a fairly long period where GMT was pretty good about the quality of the games. That seems to be dipping off. There's more and more errors falling in, even though they're like really heavy on the quality of the components now. But I get the feeling they were a much, you know, this is, I mean, Twilight Struggle just created a huge money flow for them, to be honest. And they've been able to put out other games that are of value to them as well. This one would never get a reprint, I think. Yeah, so I got to look up and find that place where it tells me who uses what. So we're talking about Raymond and Raymond II. For Raymond, use Raymond's, and for Raymond II, use Adamar's. So that's these two. Since I wasn't going to pick his chit, and since there's no randomness in the amount of points that I get, like there was in the first Crusade, this is fine. But anyway, I don't remember where I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 17, 18 strength points to 25. Well, Siege doesn't work off of that exactly. 18 to 25 is going to give me a +1. And that's about it. And we roll a single die for this. That's a 3. We didn't do anything good, and we lost a couple of strength points. Sorry, it was 27, not 25, but it doesn't matter. Effect is the same. So we did not get any siege points on there. And, hell, we can't siege this. I forgot this is, see, this is why he was supposed to be with him. Let me just move this here. That was the initial plan, because that gave me the 35 that I could have had there. 35 to 18 or whatever. I still, was it 18? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 17. Actually, that's 2 to 1, but 2 to 1 doesn't help. Right? I need 3 to 1. So my siege is probably not even going to work. Even with those excess troops there. And do I have enough to siege this? Yeah, easily. Okay. So that is workable, but it's not good. Nur ad-Din has kind of done something stupid no matter what in this operation. I'm at my bare minimum at this point with 35 on siege. I'm not going to be able to maintain the siege. With a +1, I mean, on a 7, I'm okay. But I think what I need to do is raise this siege. Now, what does that mean? That means Antioch is not mine, and I'm not going to get it. Now, Antioch is worth, who the hell knows, 5 points, which is pretty decent. I can wander around and pick up strength from shit like this. That does not sound terribly effective. What other things do I have that I could take? Because Antioch's out of the question. I don't know where Shazir is. There it is. That's already mine. Hamahams. Tiberius is way too far away. Conceivably, I could come down to try to help those Syrians or whatever. Otherwise, I don't know what the fuck to do with Nur ad-Din. Except go around gathering troops. Like, I don't see any victory point things. And again, I'm constantly having to look this shit up to get those points. I should be able to get all of Edessa without him committing. I kind of want to leave defenses here, kind of, sort of. I gotta think. I'm sorry. Something that looks fucked up. These guys are his faction. What did I do setup-wise that's wrong? So, did I just fuck this shit up so badly? Like, I feel like I'm less capable now than whenever I set this up and started playing it. But everything's fucked up. Like, I screwed up with the Nur ad-Din not having his troops that he wanted with him. Hama is supposed to have Yagi Siyana. Now, if we look at the other thing, which is the list here, the Muslim Turks control every town and city north of Homs inclusive. This is north of Homs. The Southerns control all cities and all towns. Yeah, so this is really fucked up. This is a northern Syrian leader who cannot work with, I mean, he is northern Syrian, right? I mean, he's orange. I don't know what the fuck that means. He could be his own faction. Something's very fucked up with this. He's supposed to be in Hama. It says Hama. Yeah, something's very fucked up with this. Like, I don't know why this guy... I'm going to replace him because I'm just assuming, and again, there was nothing in the errata. I'm going to replace Hama as being theirs. And Hama's an important place. It's not hugely important, but yeah, I just don't know. You know, maybe Homs is supposed to be theirs too. How fucking stupid. Okay, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to figure out Nur ad-Din and what he wants to do. Unfortunately, Crusader locations make it pretty difficult to push down. I've got Conrad coming up at me. I honestly think my best move is to go gather troops, even though that's shitty. So I've got 3. Make it 2 because I'm Muslim. I break the siege. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going in with my stop so I don't have to suffer attrition. And now I get a continuation check, which I get to do. And I will, having to have both of these trays, I thought I would be able to put away most of these counters, but I feel like I need much of what's in the first Crusade counter mix, along with some of what's in this. Really annoying. I'll go on with the continuation and see what troops I can pick up and whatnot in order to head down to places that are valuable. Because of the continuations and whatnot, we were actually able to run around to all these towns, grab another 4 strength points, and move back into place for the siege. But then we didn't get the continuation we needed to get the siege. I'm fatigued by coping with this situation. You know, I mean, again, the setup, obviously there's something wrong with it. It's not just me fucking shit up. The game itself is fucked up and wrong on its own. And again, the living rules, I didn't check to see if the setup changed, but I didn't see it in the errata, and I think the errata contains stuff the living rules don't, so. Okay, we got a Baldwin chit now. The only thing I can see doing is assaulting. I'm not gonna starve a large force out. Oops. Slightly larger than I thought. And that gives us a +1 on the assault. And I think that's it. Just for size. So we get a nice 6, that's an assault point, and an ASP on each. Then up here ends up getting a going to full siege. You know, I'm keeping the current last chit in one box and then moving things into the used box afterwards. Now we get Nur ad-Din. He's trickier. What's he up to? He put himself into a position where he's sieging again, or where he can siege again. I guess we go over to that. And here we're in some danger. Conrad could reach us. Bohemond has a smaller force. I'm going to go with a partial siege. That reduces what I've got. That doesn't work if I assault. But right now, I'm not in the midst of an assault. And just before I do an assault, I can switch to a full siege to hit the city. Now, Conrad is coming in to attack Nur ad-Din. Now, this is where things get kind of ugly. Let's consider everything. First of all, Conrad, everything's open as far as I know in this game. So Conrad has 27 strength points with 2 knights. Nur ad-Din has 29. That's going to work out to a 1-to-1. The knights probably are going to give me a +2. We may or may not, you know, we don't know, right? We don't know. But Nur ad-Din does have a higher combat capability. I think given the closeness of it all, I'm going to actually try to bring Raymond in, which means he needs a 1-through-3. Now this, well, first thing is Nur ad-Din decides not to withdraw because it looks like a close enough fight. So now trying to bring Raymond into play, this is really the wild card. It's a 50-50 for a big change. He doesn't come in. And that means in the Second Crusade, we get a 4 versus a 3. It's going to be a a flanking maneuver, which does count the knights. This is going to be an E, which is a feigned retreat and encircle. The Crusaders are attacking. F versus E is a -2 base. So that goes in the Saracens' favor. Strength isn't going to be anything. Armored Knights cancels out that -2. But there's a failure to sortie, which brings it back to a -2. And so we get a net of 5, which is an X minus 1. X is unexpected result. Roll a D6. We haven't had one of these in the other scenario. Adjusting by the accompanying number, which is minus 1. We get a net of 1. So now we look for 1. The attacker takes 25% losses. The defender takes 5%. And this is going to be of their own forces because there's no 3 to 1 here. So Conrad is badly hammered. He has probably lost the battle. I think that's based on how many strength points are taken. Let's find the mandatory retreat rules wherever they are. It's so fucking hard to find anything here. Full battle resolution, that sounds like it might be where it is. At least twice as many as the opponent. Yeah, we're going to be losing at least twice as many. So now we look at Conrad. He was at 27. And he's the losing force who took 25%. But here's the thing. We don't know that he's the losing force until we calculate the losses. That's where it gets fucked up. Right? So the losses determine whether or not you're the losing force. You're only the losing force if you withdraw. If I choose not to withdraw, I'm not the losing force, but I can't choose not to withdraw. So what I'd have to do is look at this, and I'd be taking 5, what did I say, 27? I'd be taking 6 losses. I'm taking 5% of that 25, so that would be 1 loss. So that means that I don't take those 6 losses. I have to look over here because I'm now the losing side. And there's something just fucked up about this, right? So instead we're taking 5, 6, 7 losses instead of the 6. Okay. And we get pushed out. We have to go back the way we came. I'm going to take it all on Germans because the Germans can actually disappear. In addition, I think I lose some knights here, but I can't remember where that is. Frankish armored knights. For each 10% of losses above 19%, it permanently loses a knight. So we lose one of our 2 knights, which may be the biggest deal, and fall back here. We'll absorb those for the hell of it. End up demoralized. We have leader losses. And Nur al-Din has 2 guys present with no losses there. But I still have to figure out Nur al-Din's losses. I think they were 1. And he's got this guy with him. I'll take 1 off here because that drops me below 10, which is useful at times. We drew an event off of this and actually had an effective one. Frankish contingent goes home. We have to look that up. I know what it is. I think it's 1 die worth of losses to a random faction. But it's not in the Second Crusade rules. It's in the event rules here. So first die will be the black one. It's odd. It's going to be the French. Lose 1 ASP from somewhere. I guess I'll take it from here. Doesn't really matter. We draw another Conrad chit. I obviously can't attack unless I can do something, so we will recover first. And then roll his continuation, which he gets, and I have to think, do I want to make another shot at Nur ad-Din? I still have the potential to win this, so I think so. Because if I can beat Nur ad-Din, then Crusader forces can move forward into Edessa. If I can't beat Nur ad-Din, he's going to eventually take Raymond out of there. So I kind of have to challenge him there. And we do the same thing as before. We're going to try to bring Raymond in. And this time Raymond comes in, and that changes the nature tremendously. Conrad now has Raymond and Adamar with him, which means his strength is 18, 19, 20. Well, we'll figure out. Because we need to do the tactics. Okay, Conrad is only a 3, right? And he's in charge. Raymond is a 3 as well. That gets us an impetuous charge, which is probably not good. But the Saracens get a C, which is caution, which may not be bad. That gets us to a 0. Okay, it's an impetuous charge, so we can add our knights in. We only have 1 now. So we're at +1 for that. But the strength is different now. Conrad is at 18, 19, 20, 21. And 17 is 38 to Nur ad-Din's 29. I forgot to add these in. 38. That sounds like it's the same number. Okay. 38 to 38 is going to be a 0. We had 1 knight. That's a +1. And we had a successful sortie. So now I'm at +3 for the Crusaders. And that brings me up to an 11. That's going to be a 5 and 15. And again, I don't know if I lost the battle or not as Nur ad-Din. 15% of 38, it's probably twice 5 of 38. We are both 38, right? 29, 38 there. It's like 37 to 38. Okay. It is going to be the loser, so, you know, I don't have to actually do the calculations, but if it was a close fight, I would. So that's 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. It does not get a continuation. We have 2 chits in here. It's another event. That's not going to do anything. And then the last chit is, I don't know, another event. This one's a 1. That's a problematic one. A 1 is Conrad ill. Conrad already suffers a relapse. He has no more activation points and may not be used in any way for the rest of the turn. I don't know what activation points are. I think what they mean is his chits don't affect. They're not called activation points anywhere else. He's making something up. Activation points are the thing you use in the First Crusade to buy, essentially, chits. But the only thing I can figure is, well, it absolutely doesn't matter because this is the end of the turn. Now we look at attrition. And sieges are going to be first. I don't know, should I highlight one in case you didn't watch the first Crusade? Sure, Said al-Din is there. He is, I hope, this one. Yeah, can't tell. It doesn't say. I'd have to look it up. And I'm tired of looking shit up. Okay, so siege attrition. We each roll 2 dice. And I think there's no modifiers here. The Muslims are at -1. So they get a 5. They're going to lose 2. I can buy one of those 2 off with this. Sure, why not? I don't know, because I'm far away. Let's hold Aleppo, because it's closer to the center of action. We'll take the 2 hits here. This doesn't look right. I wouldn't have 2 5s there. I'm guessing it's supposed to be this. So we lose 1. We're going to actually lose another one, I think, but because the Crusaders lose 3, they can buy one of those 3 off, but 2 takes this, which then means I have to lose another strength point. Put this here in order to take Samosata. And I might as well stay out because I've already suffered siege attrition. I'm going to be putting his chit in again. If I wasn't going to put his chit in, it would be an issue. Elsewhere, well, although technically this wouldn't happen right now, Nur ad-Din loses another point of troops. He can't roll under a 1, so he's not going to lose more than 1. And we work our way down. We've got a siege here as well. We'll just roll these. I won't do this on video again. Okay, the Crusaders get a big 9. They're going to lose 4 strength points. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can take 1 from there. I could actually take 2 from Acre, right? Let's take 2 from Acre. So I was losing 4. I'm not allowed to split this up, and I lose 2 strength points, which see here again, I've got 2 5s. I think that's necessary here. It didn't make sense there. Who's he got with him? He's got Louis with him. I'm gonna take off of here. So that's gonna put me down to 8. I'll be back. And now a 6, and note, the size of the force doesn't matter. This huge army here in Damascus, the attrition just does not work in this game as well as in the original. This is going to be Umar. He's a 25. That doesn't matter. The 6 says I lose 3. Damascus can take 2 of those off. And I have a resource point there, so all I lose is 1. The city loses its ravaged marker, and otherwise nothing else happens. And we go here, September, mid-October. Is that the end of this? Like, then it's only 3 turns, and I thought it was 4, but... No, we got 2 more turns to go. Fair enough. And we replace... all these go back. So there is some danger to using Conrad as your commander, because or even at all, sort of. But he's effective, and Louis is very much not. So I kind of wanted to count on Conrad here. Louis is just too shitty, and I got to be careful. I got to make sure no one-star leader exceeds Louis' points. I can't just take from him, directly. So like this guy, I said he had like 17. We're only at 18 here. Now he's got that because he's got another leader under him, which I think is legit, but I'm not sure. Like he may not be able. Like if this ends up higher than this, I think I'm not able to operate them together anymore. But I'm not positive about that because again, the multi-control is really kind of messy the way it's described here, and I just don't have an image in my head about that. It didn't come up in the first Crusade because I didn't have to work with like so many leaders who are all on the same side. But actually it's on a per faction level. Yeah, so that's actually not a problem. It's still on a per faction level, even though all the factions are controlled by one player in this one. All right, we're going to pause here. I fucked up when I took losses. I took the German, and this is the thing, they look so similar. The German knights instead of an infantry unit. I was like, oh, let's kill a German. Well, there's a 1. Get rid of that. All right, I got to pick my points for the turn again. Again, for the Crusaders, I've got 2 forces that are particularly useful. I might choose to take some of the Raymonds with me. I can't tell which is which. I think Adamar is the other one. I'm not positive of that. I'll take this and add it to my force because this I definitely want to use. And the real question when it comes to that is, what am I trying to do, etc. So, I can push Nur al-Din around indefinitely, and that doesn't really help me. I don't think Alexandretta is worth anything, but I kind of have to eliminate him as a threat so that I can push into Edessa. Now here, I've got the issue of maybe I want to move this guy. How many forces does Jerusalem have? They have 10, 18, 22, 32, 40, 41. I mean, they're way over the requirements. So I'm not going to be able to come out and harass them away from Damascus. So I'm going to focus on the Mosuls and kind of give up Damascus as a lost cause, I guess. This is this guy. Because I really can't think of a way that I can save it. And I'm putting all the muscles together to try to get into a position where I can fight Conrad again. I can only put 1 counter in for side. So our not Kerboga, Nur al-Din, or Nur ed-Din is going to have to move towards him and assemble those forces and hope for the best. But right now, this looks like a really, this looks difficult for the Muslims because, well, it's hard to tell because I'm gathering a lot of points here. I have no idea who's winning. The complexity, the number of victory point spaces, and not really being sure where they are at any one time makes this harder in a lot of ways than the first Crusade was. You know, in the first Crusade, in the old Crusades game, every city had a value, and there were a handful of them that had special value, but then it was basically the size of the city which determined its value. So it was very easy to look on the board and see what the cities were worth. The exceptions being things like Antioch, Damascus, Jerusalem. You know, there were a small handful that had different point values. The Mosuls had their own special point values for the first Crusade in that. So even though more things had victory point values in the old game, it was very easy to see what your victory point value was. Here, I've got to try to remember what Edessa actually comprises, and that it's 3 points each. I think it's all of this, but I'm not positive. There's also an easy 3 points that I can get for Edessa if I rebuild that. But that takes a complete turn, and I've only got one more turn. So if I'm going to take Antioch, so that's what I really need to do. I need to add my values and figure out what my victory points will be. So Aleppo I have at 10. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. That'll give me, oh no, I don't get anything for Aleppo. That'll give me 15. Antioch's not going to cause anything. I don't know where Shaizar is. Okay, that's nothing for me, but I got to be careful because that's 2 points I could lose. Hama is another 2 points I could lose. Homs is 3 points that I could lose. Damascus is 10 points that I could lose. Let's assume that's going to fall. So that gets me down to, say, 5 points in my advantage. Tiberias I don't get. Jerusalem I don't get. And I don't get Castle. So it's a close run thing. I'm not going to get Antioch probably. For that close run thing, do I want to use Nur to try to defend the stuff up here? Do I want to move into there and try to get that 3 points guaranteed? Or do I need those reinforcements? I think I need the reinforcements, to be honest. I certainly need them if I want Antioch. I can defend this, but I can't defend this. I don't know. An event, that means initiative has to be rolled. Odd, it's going to be Saracen. Okay. And I guess it actually doesn't even matter, because the 2 events that can happen aren't really player determined. It's going to be a heat event. It's going to add 2 to Frankish movement and attrition, add 1 to Saracen movement and attrition. If it's through September, mid-October. Okay, so this turn is indeed going to be a heat turn. And the effects are a little different from what they were, I think, in the first Crusade. I think they were just a +2 for both sides. But I'm not positive about that. Ooh, it's morning. We get a Baldwin. We're going to do assaults. Baldwin only has 2 chits. I think Damascus can fall as long as I get kind of lucky. But that's the best I can hope for. I'm not going to have another opportunity to do something else. Well, I could get really lucky and get the 2 assault points. Anyway, I got 1 this time, so I'm up to 2. This is going to be a close run thing, I think. Nothing. No, it's Nor. Huh. He has 20, 30. So he's a base of 3. Drop that to a 2. Bring it back up to a 3 for the heat. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, I can run around here. It doesn't matter that I'm demoralized, to be honest. Except that I won't be able to intercept. And I can get a continuation, which I do not get. He gets to go again. I'm going to go into here. That defends that. And a continuation would allow me to undemoralize. Okay. Which allows me to intercept, which is potentially important. I can be avoided. I get another continuation. I can't leave this undefended, is the problem. But pulling back to Aleppo would get me an additional unit and would give me some flexibility. But this is all of my chits for him? Or is, yeah, he's a 3-4. I think I'm best off staying exactly where I am. And we get a side. Okay, unfortunately we're having to play all of our pieces. This is worth victory points. I want to take it. Jocelyn here, he's just sitting there demoralized. He should have taken a couple of losses. Is this Jocelyn? I think so. We'll get rid of those weird colored pieces. Yeah, he's just been starving out there at the end of each turn. Interesting. I just didn't realize he was out on a point. But it doesn't seem worth moving. So I think this is our first move. Now we have a 1 base, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll attack this, and that should be pretty easy. To begin with, we're at like 19-1, which gives us a plus 19 on the chart, but it is going to defend in the town, wherever that is. I can't find it. Oh, there, it's going to be down here. So it's a 17. I mean, we get a 20. This is if we got an X. So we take 5% of his force, which means we destroy this. We do not. Put this here. We do not have to leave a garrison there, but it does mean that we're back to one of these. We roll for a continuation at a 2 and don't get it. Now the Crusaders get all their actions, and this could be very problematic. We get a Conrad. Conrad has to, he's going to gather up some of the southern Franks probably, but his forces do need to be split up to some extent. So I got to be a little careful. I've got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. if we take Raymond II with us, that brings us up to like 27, allows me to leave Raymond there. We're at +2 for heat, +2 for size, +3 for the night. Wait, +2 for heat, +3, not +3. We were at 27, +2 for size. That gets me up to +4, +5. So 6, 7, 8. This is a safety thing. We get rid of that. Put it here so I don't get confused. And we need to put something there. I'm gonna call this Antioch, I guess. Conrad could claim it for himself. I mean, it doesn't matter. These are all one side. We roll a continuation, and I'm doing everything here. I don't understand that. We don't get a continuation. I'm gonna cut the video. I feel like I'm doing too much video. Got a quick event, and it ended up being Conrad ill, which means his remaining chit is not going to come into play. Now, he's luckily in a place where he can he doesn't take any attrition, but it does kind of cut me from being able to like make a strike towards Aleppo or whatever that I would have liked to have made. This is part of what's so annoying about these rules. So I want to find, because I have a worry that I can't succeed at this. I remember something about siege assault points being recovered at the end of a turn. It's just a vague memory, but if there is one recovered, that makes Damascus almost impossible to take at this point. I was able to find it. It happens to be in the midst of the assault rules. Inflicting assault points makes sense there. Maybe telling me about removing them there is fine, but there ought to be something that handles, you know, the end of turn recovery phase, which is when this would happen, where it tells me that. Now, there is no section on the recovery phase because it doesn't follow the sequence of play the way you'd be used to rules kind of doing. But there is a sequence of play over here which might tell me all ravaged removed, all ravaged markers, the resources of cities not under siege. Assault points are removed from cities no longer under siege. There's nothing that says they remove one anyway, but I think there is a rule in here that does say that. No. Here's what I remembered. The instant the entry or castle space is free of an army, a besieging army, one of the assault points is immediately removed. At the beginning of a turn in which you're not besieged, 3 are removed. So assaulting a city without a siege is really hard to do. Like, you're not going to take it out because they rebuild 1 as soon as your siege fails, and then they rebuild 3 more at the end of the turn. It is pretty hard to get 4 assault points per turn in this scenario, because you can't get continuations on the siege or whatever. Oh, but maybe you can. I thought assault was a hard stop. Maybe it's not. Where is that listed? I think it is, but now I'm like questioning that. And that's the thing. Constantly I'm questioning things in these rules, which is why I started making mistakes, because I stopped questioning things. It was wrong. Where do we have continuations? Here we go. Okay. Conducting a siege assault is one of those hard stops where you're just finished. Yeah. And that's what I thought was the case. But I could see where you could launch wave after wave of assault over the course of a month. It kind of doesn't make sense that you can't. Except it would make, cities relatively even quicker to fall than they already are. But there would be some cost. Now, I am part of me says Conrad should have pushed a little bit further, taken some attrition or whatever, but wherever he went to, he wasn't going to end up anywhere where he would gain any points. So where am I? On the last couple of chits. That looks like a Nur Din. Why did I not have a point for him? So now I know Conrad is frozen. I might be able to win this over. How much does Raymond have? Too much for me to starve him out. Too much for me to assault him out. So now the question is, do I move out of here I think it's too risky because it would give Conrad an opportunity to do something. I could actually take this castle, if that's not the weird one. There is a weird one, right? There's one that's owned by, I don't remember which one. Oh, it's this one. That's owned by the Assassins. I was trying to see if there's anything that I could get a point advantage from. Like, one option would be to come down and relieve Damascus, and that would save me a lot. But I get, if this was the last turn of the game, I might go for it because I get him out of there. Do we fall back to Antioch? I think so, to pick up that unit. Quite a few continuations and pick up both of those units. Now this makes Aleppo more at risk, but I'm counting on being able to stop Conrad. That's why I'm hanging around down here. I actually had a continuation open to me. Wow, there's still 2 chips left. I thought there was only one. Another event check. And a Conrad move, which I should have known was in there. He's sick, so he doesn't get to do anything. And attrition, I think the only attrition present is still this poor sucker. Up there. Now I gotta find his counter mix, which probably doesn't even exist. No, I don't have a space for it. But I do have siege attrition to do too, which will just be here. Oh, this is ravaged. He takes attrition too. That'll put us to the last turn of the game. I'll take a pause there. We actually had really heavy attrition on these guys, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to fall due to the forces being eliminated. The only thing that's going to kill them is 2 more assault points on them. This is a particularly uninteresting scenario, and it makes a great intro to the system if, like, if it didn't have so many errors that are not corrected in the errata. And I honestly, I think the living rules aren't really living rules. I think they're exactly the same rules, although they were uploaded at a later date. But that later date might be the date when GMT started scanning rules and putting them into their website, because I think they didn't do that for a long time. And this is an early game. I think the rules were loaded up in 2007, and I really don't think the game was, like, there's no sign that the errata is in play on it. Okay. Right, final turn. Same Baldwin and Conrad in the cup for the Crusaders. Do I want to do something different with the Muslims? Nur al-Din is going to be able to do... I definitely want some of his chits in there, because I need to react to Conrad if he's operable, if he slips around behind or something. But the question is, do I need to be able to come out and fight here? Because here's the thing. If they get the assault points on me, that's a big change in victory points. Again, it's like 10 points for Damascus, right? Which, again, isn't enough, I think. I can't remember what the points were. I don't think it's enough to win it on its own. I think what I have over here in Edessa is worth more than that. Said can't do me a lot of good anymore. Well, I mean, he could if he gets really, really lucky, but he only has a 2 for continuation. And the only thing he can really do is get me into range of Nur al-Din, but the problem is Nur al-Din, I don't feel like the extra troops, even though it's a fair amount, are going to make that big a difference. I have a chance of stomping Conrad anyway. So I think I'm going to put these, and I'm going to put one of him in order to take a chance at beating this off. Just because, I don't know. I don't know if I have a chance of beating him in combat, but there's always a chance in this game, I think, because of the the unexpected results. All right, we get an event. It actually doesn't matter who rolls the event. Conrad's ill. That is a big payoff for me as the Muslims, because I got Conrad knocked out already. Now my Nur al-Din can do whatever the hell they want. Now they can't take Antioch, but maybe I can make a deep march down against that or something. And we'll try that. I put myself in something of a problem. Let me just jump back. I made it to here and took Simeon, which was a town. Towns I have to attack. Well, I don't have to attack, but it's got an enemy force in it, so I'd be blocked in terms of continuing forward without taking it on. So I have to fight it and take the town to continue on, which is generally not a big deal because they're not well defended usually. Now I could move to here. I have a continuation to this castle, or I could shift down here to this castle. I can pass through this. In neither case, like, these are kind of a chokehold on the terrain, right? I can't get further down the coast or past the middle without dealing with those castles. What I can't find is a rule that prevents me, that specifies what I have to do with castles. Now, if this was a city, I could enter the city entry space and then bypass it. If it's a town, look, a town is essentially a field force, although I've got to tell you, if the troops withdraw into the town, I should be able to bypass it the same way I could a city. And it feels the same about a castle, but I'm pretty sure I can't bypass a town in that fashion. But, and by the way, you could bypass anything in the old Crusades game, right? Although you might have to stop in it. Here, I don't know if I have to interact with this castle and destroy it, or capture it, or whatever. And If I do, there's no reason for me to even be moving him. He can't do shit. And there's no more points for me to gain. Unless I've, forgotten about a point here. But the key element is I can't get down to Damascus to save him. Because in either case, I'm not going to get enough assault points to take these. And so I'd be relying on the attrition, which comes at the end of the turn, which is the end of the game. So I can just ignore it. And I'll look in this, see if it talks at all about castles here. But, I may be missing something, but I'm not finding anything. So, I'm not finding anything that discusses whether I can bypass a castle and keep moving. If I have to do a stop and a continuation and keep moving. Or if I must deal with the castle to get by it. I cannot find that answer. There was nothing additional in here. But here, let's see if we can figure this out. Continuation. Entering a city would stop you. Starting a siege. Blah, blah, blah. That'll all stop you. Now, I'm trying to find the thing that talks about where you get kind of stuck on an entry line going in. That's all of this, I think. Castles aren't mentioned in here. It's necessary, in case of a battle, it's necessary to see where you come into. For these purposes, consider that the two armies are blocking each other. Okay, so that's the only case that actually conducts blocking. And somehow towns manage to block you, I guess, based on that. And then over here, so there's no note of even having to stop at a castle. And then when we come down to towns, cities, and castles, an army must stop when it goes inside a built-up space. I guess this is a built-up space, but he doesn't have to stop in an unoccupied town. No discussion of castles here. Because again, the rules, even though they made 2 rule books, are basically just cut and pasted from there. We've got a section on cities and castles. An army must stop when it goes inside a city or castle. I'm not doing that. Then we have a whole bunch of stuff about cities, which doesn't apply. Castles are city-like locations. They have a garrison. Doing a siege. How to capture. Occupying. Nothing. I think I can just walk through it. The only thing that prevents me from thinking I can walk through it is kind of the armies in an open area. And then we've got all the siege stuff that I could do, none of which affects it. I think I can just walk right through the castle, which is not what I would have thought. I would have thought I had to stop and make a continuation check. So Al-Din here, who has 33 strength points, is going to go up against Conrad. Now let me think about what Conrad has. He has 10, 15, 19, 27, 37. So I think I want to try to get him into the battle. And Conrad is on a full siege. He's actually half the strength because of that. That may make it less important. And I'll be able to go again. I think I'm just going to go against him because he's half strength. Okay, so what did we say he had? 10, 15, 19, 27, 37. Half of that is 18 and a half. Versus 33. Look for the odds. Sorry, 33 versus 18 gives me a full 2 to 1, so I'm at +2. He's at full siege, so he actually can't leave this hex. +2, and I'm a 4 going up against a 3. They're going to defend. And we are doing flanking. A Muslim attacker flanking against the defend gives me +2. So now I'm at +4. He gets no knights in play. Anything else? I don't think so. I didn't try to bring that in. So two dice. Where are my dice? Reroll them both. So +4 and 6 is 10. That's going to be an X at +1. I get a 5 that jumps me all the way over here. So the attacker takes 20% losses, the defender takes 30. Is that going to be 2 to 1? Enough for a loss? Well, it all depends. We don't know if we're supposed to use the halved or the full strength, but I think it's the full strength. I'm not going to fucking look it up. So 30% of whatever it was, 37 was it? 10, 15, 19, 27, 37. This will be winning force. What was my percentage there? 30%. 30% of that is 6, 9, 10, 11. So that's a base of 11 loss. 20% of what I had is 25, 33. Which is 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we actually, maybe we should both be taking this one. I don't know. But 6 is not half of 11. So neither side wins. And we end up getting, was 37 at 25%. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 losses for Baldwin. And I don't remember my number here again. 24, 27. It seems less than I had. 25, 33. That's right. 33 ends up at 4, 5, 6. I don't know how I got to 10 here when I got to 11 over here on the winning forces lost. That feels wrong. Is it 30%? Yeah. 6, 9, 12. Okay. So it's 12 losses there. And 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'll take those losses. I'm fucking up. I've been taking losses at choice instead of proportional. I don't know if it matters too much, but I've been taking all my losses on the Germans and the French. So what I should be doing is 12 losses And there's 3 different factions, so they should each take 4. I don't know what I'm doing. And one of these as well, just to really annoy me. Okay, and I think these are all dead. Now, because this was a major battle, we do not get a continuation, do we? Yeah, because we didn't win. But we do have loss checks. Let's do the Muslim leader loss checks. Let's do the Muslim leader loss check first. And then the Christian one. Ah! We just killed Baldwin. Okay, so he's here. Baldwin is dead. He has this Amistral. However, Amistral can't be in command anymore. So Louis is in command here of the siege. Is the siege broken? We have to have 25. And I don't know that we had. Oh, we took heavy losses that might include knights. We were 37, and we took at least 5 strength points. So knights do get lost. And I don't remember the proportions here. I think it's each 10%, but 37. I think we lose both of them. So let's look for knight losses here somewhere. There we go. And again, it's not clear that the knights, whether they actually happen. Oh no, the knights have to be used to take losses. Okay, so we didn't have the knights in play, so they don't take the losses. Great. So what were we at? I don't know where we are. We did not win the battle, so we go to the next chit, and I think. Oh, we both lost the battle. Oh, no. And both forces in a draw. Yeah. Neither side lost the battle, so neither side's demoralized. So we go to the next chit, which is going to be Umar. Okay. Umar can come out. I don't know. No, he can't coordinate with that. So he has 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 against 14, 19, 24. I think we want to come out and do a harassment attack, which means that the Christians, and we can do many of these, the Christians get a roll. It goes back. On a 1, they get the, yeah, there we go. So the Christians are able to force a battle. So we were at like 24, I think. Again, 8, 9, 10, 11, 21. You know, that's not what I come up with here. 14, 18, 19, 20, 25 to his 19. The Christians are the attacker here. 25 to 19 is going to be a 1. So they're a +1 for size. We got the command rolls. Both are at 3. Oh, no. We no longer have Baldwin there. So the Christians are only a 2. A 2 at 5 is defend in place. A 3 at 1 is caution. And I think this is the nothing happens. Yeah, we get an SO. Standoff. Both sides lose 1 ASP, but we can go for a continuation with a -1 DRM. Okay. Both sides lose 1. It's one of these, and one of these, I guess. And now to continue, I need a 1 or a 2, which I don't get, so I fall back in without it being a withdrawal or anything. And that gets me to the next chip. Could be some Franks going home. Nope. Not going to matter if it is, well, it could matter. 3 is a heat marker. That doesn't happen anymore. It's too late in the year. We get a Conrad. That's not going to do anything. We get the Nur al-Din. I can launch another attack. I'm in even a better position than I was last time. So I'm going to attack him. He's still in full... He hasn't gotten an action. Yeah, he's still in full fucking siege, which is awesome for the Muslims. 4, 10, 24 means I only have 12 strength points to... I don't know how much. 26. That doesn't sound like it's gonna... Somehow I've fallen behind. That doesn't sound like it's gonna be the modifier I had before, which was like a +2. How did I lose so many more troops? I only lost 6, they lost 11. What's going on? Well, because their troops were halved. So, even though they took a lot of losses, their losses were actually a smaller amount of the total value that goes in. So I think that's actually right. All right, let's do the leader checks. See what we got here. Crusaders. Franks have a 2 leader. They're going to do an impetuous charge, which means the knights are involved now. And we've got Nur al-Din, who is very good, and he will do a feigned retreat and encircle, which does not sound good for the Christians. It's a +8 for the Muslims. Okay, that's nasty. We were at 26 to 24. I am almost certain that that is not gonna... we couldn't be at 26 to 24. It's like 26 to 12, right? 8, 9, 10... 24. Okay, 24 is 12. So we were at 26 to 12, which is still a +2. So now we're at +10. And that sounds like that's about it. +10. And it's 2 dice. That gets us up to a 16. That's going to be a 10 and 25%. I'm not going to do the calculations on camera. It's too annoying. But there's a pretty good chance that Louis is going to get knocked back. Strength points were lost out of, I think it was 24. We can check. 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Sounds right. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my knights go. Okay. 6 out of 24 is like 30%, so both my kni and those are lost. I fell back. I had to make an attrition roll because it's more than a 1, was defeated there, and now Aldin gets a chance to roll again. Oh, actually, I'm not able to retreat because this is a full siege here. He's actually not allowed to retreat. I have to look up the rules on this. I don't believe he's destroyed. I believe he takes an additional loss. The replacement leader for Louis is Robert, who's equivalent. Of course, somewhere it seems to almost indicate that there are no replacement leaders, but there are plenty. In this case, I lose a d6 of additional troops, which is going to be 3. I had already rolled this before. 1, 2, and I gotta split these up to 3. Get rid of these. And if I get a continuation, I can keep beating on him, but he might be out of siege now. We're at 13, 14, 15. I am no longer able to hold a siege, which actually would have been the case before, which means I actually was here. This siege wasn't removed, and I get those troops back. I think. So let's go with this, whatever. All right, let's roll for that continuation. Did I get it? I don't remember. Let's say I didn't. I wouldn't be going back in. Fair enough. I think this game is over because I don't think there's much that can happen. This guy's not going to be able to complete things. I'll come back if anything interesting happens. There is something interesting that can happen. I might be able to get Jerusalem or something else. So let's look at our victory point things. Tiberias is important, Jerusalem, and Caracastle. If I can get to Jerusalem, that's fine. Tiberias is right here. I could swing around this way and get to Tiberias, or I could blow through those guys. Problem with this is it's going to cost... Oh, wait. Was Jericho on there? No. I think running the high attrition risk is probably my best move, to be honest. So... because I don't think he's going to be able to do shit. So now I get... I have 10, 20... I have a 2. Because all I have to do is ravage Jerusalem and I take it. 2 drops to 1 for being Muslim. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to guarantee taking attrition. I take 4 attrition. And now I ravage, which I can do without a continuation. And that will pretty much guarantee me Jerusalem. I cannot roll a continuation. Here's the problem. I've got Baldwin chits in here. Those don't move Louis' army. I can pull Baldwin out, recover him, or his replacement, and make a roll, but I can't move that whole army, and I probably couldn't do anything of value. And we have one more chit left. That's going to be another Baldwin chit. Again, not Louis, and I can't command that because I'm 1 star, Robert is 2 star. I have just 5 strength points. That's all I can have here. I don't think there's anything I can take of any value. I can march up this way and, you know, start a siege there, but that's not going to... Oh, I can't start a siege. I can ravage it. That'll kill one, but that's it. So there's absolutely nothing I can do. I'm going to stop there, and we're going to count victory points. Of course, because it's point by point. Aleppo, nobody gets anything. Each town or city in the county of Edessa is worth 3. Okay, we got to find out what the county of Edessa is. Which is spelled out somewhere. I don't know where. County of Edessa. Robin, Bizerk, Samosata, Eintib, Meresh, and Edessa. Samosata was in there. Rabba, Eintib, Meresh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 15 Muslim points. Antioch? No. Shaizar? No. Hama? No. Homs? No. Tiberias? We didn't take it. Jerusalem? Yeah, this would fall. I didn't calculate it out. So that brings us up to 20, and Karak, no. So we got 20 victory points. The Crusaders got nothing. Pretty effective Muslim victory, I would say. All right, well, that's that. Again, you know, this rule set is just stymieing me so heavily in terms of, like, being able to comprehend what's going on. There were times when it looked like the Crusaders were going to do quite well. Now, what were we looking at as a difference there? If Conrad had been more active, maybe we take Damascus. So that's 10 of those 15 points. It would be pretty hard for Conrad to take anything back here, but some luck with the chit draws or whatever might enable me to have been able to get up there and do things. I think this is a harder scenario for the Crusaders than it is for the Muslims. But then again, you know, I'm not sure about the role with the fortresses, whether these castles actually should be blocking. I'm still not comfortable with, you know, with what the rules say. I'm just like trying to interpret them as best as I can. They're just not very clear. And let's send this one up. It's the year 1148.